Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're digging into a book you might see labeled business, but honestly, it's got so much wisdom for just about anyone looking to, well, up their game. Jim Collins' Good to Great.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, the book itself looks really hard at why some companies make this huge leap, from just good to genuinely great and stay there. But the core principles, they apply way beyond business.
Right, like students, teachers.
Exactly. Students wanting better grades, teachers aiming for real impact, professionals wanting mastery, entrepreneurs. It's really for anyone trying to move from just average or, good enough to something truly excellent in what they do.
And the central question it tackles is fascinating. What separates the truly great from the merely good, and how do they sustain it? Collins and his team, they spent, 5 years on this?
5 years, yeah.
Mhm.
Poring over data from 28 companies. And honestly, some of the findings really challenged conventional wisdom.
That's what I found interesting.
Yeah, like one of the biggest takeaways is that greatness isn't usually about some sudden aha moment or getting lucky. It's more deeply rooted in habits, consistent discipline, and a really specific kind of leadership. It's definitely a long game.
Which leads us to that phrase everyone quotes from the book, good is the enemy of great. Simple phrase, but wow, it hits hard when you think about it.
It really does. Because there's a real comfort in good enough, isn't there? When things are okay, we tend to relax. But that very comfort, that settling, can be the biggest barrier to reaching our, full potential.
Whether that's in our job, personal growth, anything.
Exactly. Any area where we aspire to be more than just okay.
So our mission for this deep dive is pretty clear. Let's unpack these key principles Collins identified. The framework, really, for moving beyond good.
Let's do it. And the framework starts with something that kind of flips the script on leadership, level 5 leadership.
Okay, level 5. What makes it different?
Well, what's so striking is how counterintuitive these leaders are.
Yeah.
We often picture successful companies led by these huge personalities, very charismatic, maybe even celebrity-type CEOs.
The ones who are always in the news.
Right. But Collins found the companies that made that sustained leap to great. They were often led by people with this unusual mix of deep personal humility and intense professional will or determination.
Humble and determined. That sounds almost like opposites. How does that work?
Well, the humility part means they're not driven by ego. They aren't looking for the spotlight. They don't boast. Their main focus is the success of the company or the team, the mission, not personal glory.
Okay.
But at the same time, they have this fierce, almost quiet determination, a relentless focus on getting results. Not for them, but for the organization, for the cause.
So it's less look what I did, more look what we managed to do.
Precisely. It's a very strong we mentality. They're quick to give credit to the team when things go well.
And take the blame when they don't.
Exactly. They step up and take responsibility for setbacks. Think of, like, a great coach. After a win, it's all about the player's hard work. After a loss, the coach often says, that's on me. That's the spirit.
Yeah, that's a world away from leaders where maybe their ego gets in the way of actual progress.
Absolutely. When a leader's main concern is their own image, it can create a culture where people are afraid to speak up or just tell the leader what they want to hear. And that ultimately holds everyone back. Level 5 is about service and impact, not self-promotion.
Okay, that makes sense. Let's move to the second principle, which also kind of challenges the usual way of doing things. First, who, then what? This sounds like it's all about the people.
It really is. The standard approach is often figure out your strategy, your big plan, your what, and then find people to make it happen. But
Here.
good to great flips that. It says get the right people on the bus first, the who, before you even figure out exactly where you're driving at the what.
So the idea is if you have the right people, they'll figure out the what together, even if things change.
That's the core belief. If you've got a team of talented, committed people with the right character, the right skills, they'll be way better equipped to handle challenges, adapt, and find the best path forward, almost regardless of the initial plan.
Like building a sports team, maybe? You pick the best players with the right attitude?
Exactly. Like a cricket team. You want the best players, the ones with grit and teamwork, and you trust they'll figure out how to win whatever the pitch conditions are that day.
So build the team first, trust the talent, then refine the strategy. Not the other way around. People first, ideas second.
You got it.
Yeah.
Focus on the quality of the people. Get that right, and the what becomes clearer, and your odds of real success go way up.
Okay. Principle number 3, the hedgehog concept. Love the animal analogies. What's this one about?
Well, the hedgehog, right, it's not flashy, but it has one thing it does incredibly well to survive.
Yeah.
Rolls into a spiky ball.
Simple, effective,
Exactly. It focuses on that one core defense. Yeah. Collins argues that great organizations similarly simplify their focus. They find one core thing they can be the absolute best in the world at.
Just one thing. So identify that core strength and really double down on it.
It's a bit more than just strength. It's about finding the intersection of three things. Three key questions. First, what can you realistically be the best in the world at? Not what you wish you were best at, but what you truly have the potential for.
Okay, potential world-class level.
Second, what are you deeply passionate about? What drives you? This is crucial for sticking with it long term.
Passion, got it.
And third, what drives your economic engine? Or, what drives your results, your impact? For a business, it's profit, sure. But for others, it might be different key metrics.
So the hedgehog concept is where those three circles overlap. Best in world potential, deep passion, and what fuels your results.
Exactly right. Think about someone who's amazing at explaining complex stuff simply. They love teaching, they're really passionate about it, and they make a living doing online courses. Their hedgehog concept could be mastering online education in their specific niche. It hits all three: potential best, passion, economic driver. The key is that intense focus and relentless improvement within that concept. Know your core.
That makes a lot of sense. Crystal clear purpose, disciplined focus. Okay, let's shift to principle 4, which feels like a tough balancing act. Confront the brutal facts, yet retain faith.
Yeah, this one is really crucial. It basically says that great organizations or great individuals, they don't operate on blind optimism. They don't hide from harsh realities.
No rose-tinted glasses.
None. They have the discipline to face the brutal facts of their situation head-on. But, and this is the key, they do this while also holding on to an unwavering faith that they will prevail in the end.
So, total realism, but without falling into despair. That sounds hard.
It is. Collins uses the Stockdale paradox, named after Admiral Jim Stockdale. He was a prisoner of war in Vietnam for years under horrific conditions.
Right, I've heard of him.
He said the key to survival was never losing faith that he'd get out and see his family again. That's the unwavering faith part. But crucially, he also confronted the brutal reality of his day-to-day existence. He said the ones who didn't make it were often the optimists.
The ones he thought, we'll be out by Christmas.
Exactly. They set themselves up for disappointment. Stockdale faced the grim reality and held on to ultimate faith.
Okay, can you give us a more everyday example? How does this play out for, say, us?
Sure. I'll imagine a student. Finals are coming up fast, and they realize, honestly, they're way behind in a really important subject.
Okay, panic mode.
Maybe a good student might kind of downplay it. Oh, I'll just cram, it'll be fine. They avoid the brutal fact of how far behind they are.
Denial.
A bit, yeah. But a great student, using this principle, would first confront the brutal fact. Okay, I haven't studied enough. I don't understand Chapter 3. I only have 2 weeks left. Total honesty. But at the same time, they maintain unwavering faith. I can still pass this. I need a plan. I need to focus. I will put in the work and make the most of this time. See the difference? Honesty fuels action. Hope provides the energy.
That's powerful. Honesty plus hope. Okay, principle 5, the flywheel effect. Sounds like momentum.
Exactly what it is. Collins uses the image of a huge, heavy flywheel. Imagine trying to get this massive metal disc spinning.
Takes a lot of effort at first.
A ton of effort. You push, and for a long time it barely moves. It feels like you're getting nowhere.
Yeah.
But if you keep pushing consistently in the same direction, slowly, it starts to turn, and then it picks up speed. Each push adds to the momentum. Eventually it hits a point where it's spinning fast, almost on its own. That's the breakthrough, the cumulative effect.
So greatness isn't usually one big event, but the result of lots of small, consistent pushes over time?
Precisely. It's the compounding effect. There's rarely one single miracle moment. It's the discipline of pushing that flywheel day in, day out. Think about maybe a YouTuber starting out. They upload videos weekly. First few months, maybe hardly anyone watches. But they keep doing it. Consistent quality, regular uploads. Slowly, the audience grows. Then, maybe a bit faster. There isn't necessarily one viral hit, but the sustained effort builds momentum until eventually the channel really takes off.
So the message is, keep pushing, even when results seem slow at first. Every push counts.
Absolutely. Don't get discouraged by the initial lack of visible progress. Keep applying consistent effort. The momentum will build.
Valuable lesson. Okay, finally, principle 6, technology accelerators. What's the role of tech in all this?
Right. This tackles a common belief that tech is the magic ingredient for success.
Buy the right software and you're golden.
Kind of, yeah. But Good to Great argues strongly against that. It says technology doesn't create greatness. It accelerates greatness that's already there. It's an accelerator, not a cause.
Okay, explain that difference. Accelerator versus cause.
Think about it like this. If you have a solid foundation, disciplined people, you know your hedgehog concept, you confront the facts, you're pushing the flywheel consistently, then using the right technology can massively speed things up. It can amplify your strength.
Makes sense.
But if your foundations are weak, if you have the wrong people, no clear focus, no discipline, then the fanciest technology in the world won't save you. It might even make things worse.
Like putting a jet engine on a broken cart.
Yeah, something like that. It might go fast for a second, then fall apart. A better analogy might be cooking.
Okay.
A bad cook won't suddenly become a great chef just because you give them a super expensive high-tech oven.
Right, they'll just burn things faster maybe.
Exactly. But a really good cook, give them better tools, a better oven, and they can probably produce more, maybe even better quality food faster. Technology is a tool. Its power depends on the skill and discipline of the user.
So focus on getting the fundamentals right. First people, focus, discipline, and then use technology strategically to boost that.
That's the key takeaway. Build the solid good to great foundation first. Then, carefully select and apply technology to accelerate your momentum, to scale what's already working.
Okay, let's quickly recap those 6 then. We had level 5 leadership, that blend of humility and determination.
Right.
First who, then what people before strategy.
Yep.
The hedgehog concept, finding that intersection of best in world, passion, and economic engine.
Coffees.
Confront the brutal facts, but keep the faith, the Stockdale paradox.
Honesty and hope.
The flywheel effect, consistent effort building momentum.
Keep pushing.
And finally, technology accelerators tech speeds up greatness, doesn't create it.
You got it. That's the framework.
And it's clear how they all kind of link together, right? They're not just separate ideas.
Not at all. They reinforce each other. They work as a system.
Which really brings us back full circle to that core message you mentioned earlier. Good is the enemy of great. All these principles seem designed to combat complacency.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's arguably the most profound message in the whole book. The biggest danger isn't failing. It's settling for good enough. You know, when we start saying things like, this is okay, or it's not bad, or this'll do,
That's the warning sign.
that's often the sign that growth has stopped, that comfort zone feels safe, but it can be the very thing preventing us from achieving something truly meaningful, something we're really capable of.
So the challenge for everyone listening is maybe to look at different parts of their life, work, learning, personal goals, and ask, have I settled for good enough here?
Precisely.
Yeah.
And to see how these principles might apply. Because good to great, it's not just a business manual. It's really a framework for personal growth, too. You don't need to be a CEO.
It's about the mindset.
It's about cultivating that humility, that determination, the focus, the honesty, the hope, the consistent effort in whatever you do. Greatness, in this sense, isn't about fame or money. It's about that internal drive for excellence, that refusal to just coast.
Choosing excellence over comfort, discipline over just taking it easy.
That's it.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, maybe something for you, the listener, to think about. Where in your life might good enough be holding you back? What's maybe one small thing, one small push on your personal flywheel you could commit to today to start moving beyond just good?
That's a powerful question. And that first push, however small, is where the journey begins.